Are you curious to find out more what it looks like to be a network engineer? Do you want to dive more into those topics and the challenges and the ups and downs that a network engineer may face, both intellectually and technically on a daily basis? Then definitely stick around for this video, because I'm just following up from my previous video on the day in the life of a network engineer, where I discussed 3 things that really changed and stood out to me when I went from being a network admin to becoming a network engineer. And in this video, I'm going to just share 3 skills that would have made the transition to being a network engineer a lot smoother had I already known these skills. Now, before we get started, I just wanted to take a pause for the cause and definitely just shout out all the new subscribers. I see that the Ninja Gang is growing, so definitely just want to shout out that support. And if you've been rocking with me, you already know what time it is. Welcome back, and appreciate you for rocking with me. And if you're not subscribed, definitely go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the content that I'm dropping. Now, as for my journey, the most difficult part of my professional development has been a lack of mentorship. And what I mean by mentorship is somebody that has achieved what I want to achieve. They've already achieved it, and they got to be willing to share that information, or share their time, or share something to get you to where they're at. That's what I believe like a mentor is, and I believe that's what mentorship is. I believe sharing these 3 skills is something that you can get started working on today immediately if you want to develop them, and they're pretty basic and simple. And I just wish I had these skills and I developed them before I became a network engineer, because it would just made that transition that much smoother. All right, as I've mentioned in my previous video, when you go from being a network admin to being a network engineer, one of the changes is project work. Now, when you're assigned a project, you're going to be expected to know how to handle that project and complete that project on your own, because you are the network engineer, and they're expecting you to have the expertise to complete whatever project gets assigned to you. Now, if you're not aware, Cisco recently announced that there was a 0-day vulnerability that was affecting all of their Cisco ASA firewalls. Well, not all of their firewalls, but specific models. And in general, it was affecting their Cisco ASA firewalls. Now, this vulnerability will allow an attacker to configure a backdoor, which is just having unwanted access to your equipment. Usually, when you configure access to your equipment, you want to be the only person that has access to it. Now, if there's access that you don't know about, or there's unwanted access getting into your equipment, then that would be considered what a backdoor is. As an engineer, you may be on a team that is assigned to manage those firewalls, and part of managing those firewalls would be fixing this vulnerability or upgrading the iOS to software that patches that vulnerability or protects that piece of equipment or that machine from the vulnerability of being exploited and having it attacked and having a backdoor configured on it. Now, if this is your first time upgrading a Cisco ASA or any iOS, or if that's not something that you normally do, which for me, in my day-to-day tasks as a network engineer, I'm not normally doing a Cisco iOS upgrade unless it's a specific project. Then I'm doing that all day long. But if I don't have a specific project assigned to me, that's not something that's going to be normal daily activity for a network engineer. Skill number 1 is just going to be working with files. And although this may sound basic, I think that what I mean by this is just developing the skill of working with files, as far as copying files, renaming files, moving files, or even just creating files. Just doing this across all systems, not just within Cisco. You want to know how to do that on a Linux machine. You want to know how to do that on a Windows machine. And again, you want to be able to know how to do it on Cisco. If there's a file system in Cisco, and there are file systems in Cisco devices, you want to be familiar with that file system and the naming of the files, or the creating of the files, deleting files, removing them. You want to be familiar and get yourself familiar with all of that and develop that kind of skill. Because when you're upgrading iOS on a Cisco ASA, you're going to have to go to the Cisco website and you're going to have to download the software that they provide. Or this is just one of the ways, right? You go to their website. Of course, you're going to have an account to get this information and to get this fixed software, but you're just going to have to download it to your machine, and then you're going to have to copy that file over to the ASA or whatever machine that you're upgrading with that iOS. You're going to have to basically get that iOS image and you're going to have to get that file moved over to the machine so that that machine can boot to that file so that it fixes whatever vulnerability is on that device that you're working on. The second skill, after you learn to work with files, you want to learn how to manage those files. So again, you're going to have to transfer this file over to the Cisco ASA to get the iOS upgraded. Now, once it's on the ASA, you're going to have to manage that file, meaning you're going to have to find that file. So those are the kind of skills that you want to work with when you're managing files, knowing how to find the file. So you got to know how to get into the directory when you're in the Cisco CLI. You want to know how to find the directory to find your file. And the reason why you need to find the file when you get it over there is because you need to boot to that file. And you're going to have to figure out how to boot to that file. Once you boot to that file, it's going to boot to that software image when it boots back up and come up, and then it'll be patched and there will be no vulnerability on it as it'll be using the new upgraded iOS or the upgraded software. Finally, the third skill is just verifying the upgrade. It can be as simple as just verifying the software in the show version command, but also these Cisco ASAs can be in an HA pair. So when they're in an HA pair, there's going to be an active ASA and then a standby ASA. So when you go through the verification process of an HA pair, that may be a little bit different because you're going to want to verify that became the active and this became the standby after the upgrade is fully complete. And it's just a whole nother process to upgrade a HA pair of ASAs. So again, you just want to get familiar with the verification process of whatever you're upgrading, whatever iOS you're upgrading, or whatever piece of equipment you're upgrading, or pieces of equipment that you're upgrading. By focusing and building on these skills early in your career will help you to continuously learn and grow, not only in the networking field, but in the IT field in general. I hope that this information that I share with you will make your pursuit of a rewarding IT career an easy one. That pretty much wraps it up for this one. Thanks as always for viewing, and make sure to tap that like button if you're digging the content, and to share this video to anybody that you might think might find it useful. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe so you don't miss out on this weekly content that I'm dropping, and so that you stay updated on all the industry trends, technologies, and best practices, not only in the networking field, but just in IT in general. As always, I'll catch y'all on that next video. Peace.